All right, hello and welcome. I'm Angela Moonen with Living Well Today, and we've got a minute or two before we actually officially start, but I wanted to share this opening screen that I have. We are in episode 3, and so the screen may look familiar to some, but I'd like to read it aloud because it's the essence of why I'm doing this show and the essence of living well today and everything that is on the website and the content all points to this. This is the North Star. So when there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So we are welcoming today two of my lifelong friends, Jim and Linda Hickey of Charles Signs. And I'm going to take this off share so that we can see their wonderful faces. Hello, hello to you both.
Hello, good afternoon.
Nice to see you, Angela.
Yes, nice to see you, Linda. We've got a wonderful story in store for you today. And we have got some video and we have, because Linda actually, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, Jim and Linda own a large sign company together, and this has been one of their lifelong passions and projects together as work partners, life partners. And we've got a video that we're going to share because Linda's been going through a really rigorous process of becoming certified as a woman business owned organization in New York State. And that is no small feat, and it's a long journey, and I'm sure she's learned a lot of lessons that she can share and some heartaches as well as laughter along the way. And that's really the metaphor for their life as well. So we're going to peek behind the curtain a little bit today with each of you. And but before we do that, I'd like to play your video if that's okay. And so let's go back to share the screen. And here we go.
Hi, welcome to Charles Signs. My name is Linda Hickey, CEO, and we've been in business now for 55 years and still counting strong since 1968, a family-owned business, now second generation. Now, I would love to take you on a tour to see our facility, our Outback shop with our team of fabricators and installers, and show you exactly what we can do for you. When I went off to college, I went to school for advertising, design, and production. I had already worked with my dad in the business throughout high school, painting things and whatnot, and it seemed like after I was done with college, vinyl cutting machines came into play. Now, I had no desire to learn that. I was like, I hand do things, I hand letter things, that's what I do. And then I had to succumb to, yes, you do need to get a vinyl cutting machine. My father had gotten one my last year of college. So I came home from college, worked with him again in the vinyl cutting, and it just really did speed things along as far as finishing projects and making things a little extra, and just you were able to get jobs in and out the door much quicker. And it just got me to realize that, there was more to just painting a sign. It was about the time it took, getting it in and out the door, and getting another job in and out the door. I started to work with customers over that summer. I did get a job at an advertising agency, and I think it was after 1 month I realized that the sign business is really where I wanted to be. So I went back with my dad and we worked together just as a two-person team and got done what we needed to get done, and things just started to evolve. I really enjoy the sign business. At one point we subcontracted many jobs out because we just didn't have a facility that was big enough to, bring in bigger equipment and more people. From my father's basement of 1,500 square feet, we moved into today a 17,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility, which enabled us to get flatbed printers, routing machines, a CNC router, laser cutting machine, channel bending. Now, all this stuff, we used to subcontract out, and obviously we would just mark it up when it came in. And so now we're able to employ more people, use this machinery, and be much more competitive in the industry. Being a woman-owned business, it sometimes may take away from a little family time, due to some jobs that may come in, signage that needs to be done, and more time invested. It is very hard sometimes to balance that, but I have a family that understands. My husband also works in the business, and at times my kids do come in to work. They're both at college right now learning business and marketing, and I'm hoping to have a third generation at some point in my business. It is so exciting to see the impact of Micron moving into our area and for what this will mean for our area, our business, employment. Because of our investments in the technology and the innovation, I am more than confident that Charles Science is well poised to capitalize on this growth of the region. Our future vision for Charles Science is leading the company to the future through continuous innovation and hiring more people with talents in fabrication and using all of our machinery and insights adapting to new technology and new marketplaces.
Now I want to know, Linda, when you watch that video, do you go, wow, how do I get it? How do I get it all done?
Well, yeah. So what was funny because I showed my kids the video when it was all done. I showed my kids and they're like, I don't think they thought I did as much as I do. They're like, no, Mom. I said, yeah, like, what do you think I do all day? But yeah, I mean, the video like really summed it all up. And honestly, I mean, it was a great job, getting that done and, telling a story. And I know a lot of times even, it's about what's your story and everybody's got one, right? So yeah, so my kids didn't really know the full story, I guess. They were like, wow, Mom. So it was really nice. I really liked it.
Well, that's heartwarming. I love that. I love that. And in the for those participating, those last few images, Jimmy, talk a little bit about, and we've got a long journey to go here through this, but while the images are fresh, those last few images, you have been doing work in the nursing home and senior living facility, have really broken into that market in a meaningful way and helping transform what otherwise, these floors, the mental ward floors, the mental health floors in some of these hospitals were dingy, dark, scary kind of places. And you see the stained glass and all of that's decals and banners and things that you've done. Talk a little bit about that and what that meant to you both as a couple to have an impact on so many people's lives in that way.
Yeah, well, we had a real opportunity with the local nursing home, Loretto, and they had come out and they had some grant money, and the grant money was put forward for the dementia floor in particular. And when they came to us and started talking about dementia, my grandmother, who back in the early 80s when she passed away, went through Alzheimer's full blown, and there wasn't a place for her to be. So this was really personal for me, living in a household, trying to navigate, negotiate through that horrible process, that disease. But there's a lot of research out there. We really dug our heels into that to look into it. And what they found is a lot of dementia care centers would use artwork where somebody might paint tulips on the wall to try to help relieve some of the tension or the stress that the patients felt. But what we found is that really that doesn't work. It makes it worse. So what we were able to come up with was turn it into a community, have it look like a home, images and things that they could relate to. And with it, so there's a lot of outdoor scenery, there's clouds in the skies, and we developed in conjunction with Loretto, the different hallways have different color shutters and the housing stuff that we did in there. And it's just incredible. And what they found when it was done is that not only were the patients less stressful, the workers were less stressed. Mm-hmm. It's just a much more pleasant place to be. And nobody wants to be there. And the family doesn't want their loved ones to be there either. But when you walk into these facilities that we've had literally the pleasure and the luck to work with these folks on. Just the transformation is so dramatic, and it's really starting to take traction. So we're actually working with a facility in Queens, New York, and they're going to do several floors there. And we're already talking to some others because the several places we've done already, it just gets around. There was actually a national news story on the first one we did in Loretto. It was pretty incredible.
Wow. Well, I mean, and it's, and there's, you love the work that you do regardless, and you help your whole brand promise is your image is our business, because
Yes.
signage is such a storytelling medium. And and so you love all the work that you do, but I have to believe that some work makes a greater impact and a difference in your lives and than others. That's
Yeah.
for all of us, right?
Well, again, me personally, just to tag on it, for me personally, it's in that particular situation, what we were able to do as a team, with Linda's creativity and designability and how we were able to transform people's lives. And I'm looking where it says living well. That's really what it's about. And this is one of these things on your background says living well. And it's one of these things that we were really able to make a substantial difference for a large number of people. It's very exciting.
Well, it wasn't just outdoor scenes either. I mean, one was like a kitchen setup too.
Yeah.
But it would really make it feel like they're home. And it's true. I mean, you leave a hospital, if you were visiting somebody, you kind of leave feeling kind of dumpy, like, oh, you feel bad. But when you left, Loretto with all that scenery and the happiness, you actually left feeling good. You know what I mean? From visiting somebody.
Considering the circumstances, as you said. Right.
So it's a really neat project. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to have, as we start to tell your story, I've got some really lovely slides and stuff, but share with us, because this has been, now, how many years have you been married?
It'll be, no, I know. I actually know the answer. It'll be 32 years, November 30th.
32 years. So I said in the promo stuff, I said nearly 30 years, but I was off by a bit then. So 30
a long time.
1991.
And you met how? How old were you then? And how did you meet?
Our senior year in high school. Working at Wendy's. Working at Wendy's.
So Linda, I always tell the story. Linda taught me how to bread chicken. And that's how I met her.
But what's even funny is even when I was dating Jim, he would help my dad, even when he would come home from college, he would help my dad install signs and stuff like that. So you know what I mean? It's like, God, we're feeling old right now. I mean, it's been going on. The business is 55 years old. I mean, I grew up in it, but I start to think about, like you say, how'd you two meet? Well, even after we met, I mean, Jim was, helping out my dad doing installs, right? Installing a sign, digging some holes,
Well,
you took the company fully over in 95. Is that right? About 1995 or so?
Yeah, we became partners with their dad in 1995. And I was working in corporate America. I had built some rather large companies for some folks. And I just came home one day and I said to Linda, there's this company that's interested in meeting with me to be president of Massachusetts. And I said, if we do that, I didn't think I really wanted to stay up north. But both our families have moved down south. And I said, if we're going to do that, let's look to start a business or buy a business. And Linda's father had always talked about retiring early. And so we approached him first. And we put a deal together, and this is the best part of the story for me, because we became partners for 7 years and he left in 2002. But the first year we had budgeted for a 70% household pay. So our household income was going to reduce 70%, and it ended up being 80% that first year. And we needed that 10%.
Yeah.
And stuff. But through a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, we really turned things around. And Linda can say more about the business, but I mean, we do more business now in 3 weeks than the business we took over in 1995.
Technology has changed so much. I mean, my gosh, the possibilities now are endless. What you could do. I mean,
that's amazing. So what was that dynamic like with the family business? Sleep together, work together.
Honestly, when we were at our other building, we had our desks right next to each other. This was before children. So we would drive to work together, have lunch together, drive home together, I never really thought about it like being like, oh my God, but people would say, oh my God, how do you go to work with your husband? And it was never it was just, we're best friends and we just always worked and that was it. But our office, we had death, they were butt up against one another. And the same as when we moved in this building was much bigger. And I'm like, okay, Jim, we're gonna have our office together. He's like, no. Yours is the hall, mine's this one. So that didn't work out, which I'm glad it didn't, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I mean, we've always been very close and I've never second guessed like, oh, sick of him today. Like, I can't do this anymore.
I'm
You know
not
what I
sure
mean?
that's so true, but
No,
no,
but I'm
we're
serious.
absolutely best friends.
Not
There's no-
many couples could work together every single day, especially when we started out with no kids and doing it every single day. And, you know, but it always worked and we bounce off of one another and it just
Well, and we're
works.
going to talk a little bit about that. What are the, and I'm going to pull up some of these slides here as we keep talking, but what are some of the characteristics, the traits, Jim, that you really admire about Linda as a businesswoman and as a wife and as a mom?
Oh,
Wow.
see.
We'll start out as a business because I think that's if the business part didn't work, the relationship would work. And the business works because we both have very different skill sets. And, you know,
True.
we work together. You know, there's areas that Linda is, you know, an absolute master in, and I don't second guess that. The same with me. And it's just like any other company. When you build it, you need to fill in the gaps of the areas that you are weak, and you need to know the areas that you're strong. And we really know where each other's strong and where we're weak. And it's very rare that we disagree. And when we do, she has the deciding vote anyway. So
Put on that CEO cap, Linda.
Yeah.
I,
you know,
I try to be powerful like that, but
you know,
we
but,
work well
you know,
together.
but and again, I'll talk for me and I'll let her speak about this because for me, this is really important. For me, you know, growing up, I had a less than ideal situation. And it was really important to me, you know, to have a solid family foundation, you know, when we were finally blessed with children. And that was a very long path to which I'm sure we'll talk about. But, you know, I'm proud to say that we had dinner with our kids almost every night. And when our kids come home, even now from college or stuff, you know, the first thing they want to do is have a meal and sit down at that table. And that's the foundation of how you build everything. And I think today, as a matter of fact, I think it was Nina said a couple months ago that she, you know, with her friends, she didn't realize how few people had dinner all the time with their parents, you know, growing up. And I think it's just something really probably we're able to do. And we were both, and this is one of the biggest benefits of being a business for yourself, is that we were really able to spend time with our kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, our kids, very fortunate, our kids were never in daycare. And, you know, that's a decision that we made. And that was a difficult decision to make because, you know, it took both of us out of work at times to do that. And, you know, we work together in a small business and, you know, we need to be here to make things function. But, you know, the family was the most important thing. It's the whole reason we're doing what we're doing. You know, if we can't share the rewards of our hard work with our family, why are you doing it?
That's the point. Right.
You know,
So
but you
talk
want
us,
to go ahead.
and how about, and we'll come back, you know, to talk a little bit more about Jimmy in a minute, Linda. Talk about this journey with your kids and them seeing you at work and seeing you create the balance. You've been so involved in their school. I mean, you actually helped transform their school as well. I mean, the experience at Christian Brothers Academy and what you did there was unbelievable. What the experience you created for students and alumni and the physical fitness center and et cetera, et cetera. You've done that a lot for schools.
A lot of great. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about, you think if I asked your kids, you know, what do you think of your mom and dad? What would you hope that they would say?
Well, I think they've seen us give back a lot. You know, my kids went to St. Mary's, you know, I always tell my kids, you know, even with their projects at school when they were little, I'm like, you got to do it 110%. I'd be like busting it on their projects to make sure it was perfect. But, you know, it's always like, go big or go home. You know what I mean? And everything I've ever done, you know, even when I do something for the schools, it's like, I got to go 110%. You know, St. Mary's, we did a lot for St. Mary's. You know, they would have fundraisers and we'd, you know, donate all this, you know, signage and whatnot and try to do that extra bling to make it look extra great. I'm a very visual person. So it's like, I want everything to look like top notch. CBA's fashion show last year. I mean, oh my God, I think I was embarrassing Aiden, honestly. Like they were doing a fashion show. It was at night at the Oscars. I'm like, all right, we're gonna build a life-size limo and we're gonna do this. We're gonna make a life-size Oscar. The Oscars gonna be huge. Well, I did that. And I think Aiden was like, oh my God, Mom, what are you doing? I'm like, Aiden, trust me, like it needs to be this way. Well, I'll tell you something. It was magnificent and I wouldn't have done anything different. And I mean, after the whole thing was done, the senior class wanted to use it for one of their semi-formals, the limo, all that. But you know what I mean? It's like just
larger than life. Live large life. Right. Live a large life. Yes.
Larger than life. Like,
Yeah.
and I think my kids have seen that giving back about us always going 110%, like to make it extra. You know what I mean? With our business.
Some moms have a craft room at their house. My wife has a 17,000 square foot craft room.
Project room.
She uses it when she does something, when we do something for somebody.
But everything, it's like everybody's got a talent. You know what I mean? You got a talent, you give whatever that talent is, you give it back. And
speaking of which, I'm going to share this. I mean, I've said this in some of the promos too, is that, the Hickey family is very much about breaking bread together with their children every night when they're home together, as well as their friends and their community, their family. Very, very, into creating experiences and memories for people, and almost always 99.9% of the time around food. And because it and Jimmy loves it. And this presentation here, this charcuterie thing, that's just like such a thumbnail sketch of even trying to give you a glimpse into, I affectionately refer to Linda as Martha Stewart. I mean, it just gives you a glimpse, but presentation and that, don't you think that in some ways this is off their back deck? And this is, to me, if the epitome of living well today, the beauty that you're surrounded with, the natural beauty that you're surrounded with, and the friends and family. But don't you think that the food as metaphor for bringing people together, et cetera, Jimmy, it's a very, you're a great chef, you're big into grilling, it's a really vital part of who you are, and your business has also helped you refine presentation. Yes? It's like you live it every day.
I think so. Well, I want to refer back to the charcuterie tray for a second, because people will come over just for a glass of wine or something, and Linda will put something like that out, and they'll be like, geez, you didn't have to do all that for me. And I'll comment, it's kind of every day. You'll come home and there isn't a plate of crackers put out. It's
like I said,
it's visual, and
yeah.
And that's where we
really it's your artistic side, Linda, don't you think? I mean, that longing to express visually and artistically. Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm very envious of it because it's easy. If I put something like that together, I don't know if I'd even take the Triscuit out of the box, but it's just not what it is. But when it comes to cooking, I'm all in, and it's all about textures and the experience. And it's not just the experience of the first bite. It's how did you get there? Where did you source the food? How did you think of preparing it and presenting it the way that you did? And also who's coming over? What do they like? Like I love the challenge. If you have 20 people over, that there's people that aren't going to like what your main thing is. So you've got to make sure you always have something else.
Right, because you almost always have a fish. You almost do, you always have more than one protein. Rarely do you just have one protein. You'll always have a beautiful salad or some kind of vegetables, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, something that Linda's famous salad that she mixes up and does her dressing with and all of that. I mean, there's always that variety. Not because it just tastes good together and to have all those choices, but for the reason that you said, that you're always keeping your customer in mind. You're always keeping your guests in mind. And what is it that they're looking for from this experience?
And I think of it like this, when you go out to a restaurant and people will tell you very quickly where their favorite restaurant is, but just as quickly they'll tell you where their least favorite restaurant is and how horrible something was, and you never hear about the middle of the road stuff. And not that we're trying to be on top and stuff at all. That's not what it's about. It's like when you have something that's that good, and like we just discovered Iberico pork from the south of Spain, and and we're going through some stuff with that, and you take a bite of that, and people look at you and they're just like, I've never had anything like that before in my life. And then they've watched you prepare it and they're going, geez, that's really not that hard. That's really not. Simple ingredients, simple plans, simple tools, best thing.
Best thing ever. Well, you said when you took a beautiful trip to Italy with a lot of your friends and family, the kids went with you, etc.
20
And
people.
you said, yeah, and you said that was magnificent in the sense that the simplest of ingredients, but the flavor, the fullness of the flavor, and you're set against that amazing tapestry of Tuscany, right?
Yeah.
What did you bring home for yourselves from that trip that you said, wow, that this is living well today. This is what taking life to the next level really can mean.
Yeah, well, the Tuscan sun, to borrow that phrase. I mean, the sunlight, the angle that it's in the sky, it's just different in the dirt. And myself and all of us love to cook that went, but we wanted to bring a bag of dirt home and just grow stuff in it because there's just something different there. A tomato there is not like a tomato in my backyard. It's
right.
truly just different. And you know, and they do eat very simple there, and it's very different. Life is very different there. They don't have big refrigerators, and so they go to the market a lot more. They don't have the storage that we do with things. So in a way they're forced, but it's when you live it and experience it and you go to those stores and you see there's a butcher right there and you tell him what you want. He's cutting you the stuff. There isn't anything pre-cut and stuff. And it just truly ends up making a difference. And that's what I learned. So when we came back, I mean, it's very rare that I'll go to the store and buy a steak. I will buy the whole rib roast or buy the whole thing and we'll cut our own steaks. And it just makes a difference. And then you got all that great trimming stuff that you can use for other things that just people don't have in their house anymore. If you need some beef tallow for something, well, I have it, and it makes a big difference. And it's not hard. It's really not hard to do. And you can eat better food for less money too. It's kind of funny when you begin to look at it like that. So
yeah, well, it's like going to the Hickey restaurant. That's what it feels like. But then there's all this love and warmth and beautiful decor, and you feel at home. I mean, anybody who comes to your place.
Yeah, no, your friends come over, and we have a big open kitchen inside. We're very fortunate. We have a grill inside, so if it's cold, you can still grill inside the house. But it's an experience. Not just for us. It's not about us putting on a show. It's like we involve people. The only time you're not involved is don't get in the way of my wife cleaning up the kitchen. She has her way of doing it.
Nope. Yeah, I just
leave her alone.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Linda. So what are the qualities that you admire about Jim as a businessman and a leader in his community? He's on the board of a bank.
Yeah, he's on a lot of different boards. I mean, he's very good about getting out there and I really look at him as the salesman that he is. I mean, he really befriends everybody. I mean, you can trust his judgment and what he's thinking is best for your company. And he's looking at it as a whole. And somebody says, I don't know what I need. I mean, Jim I've learned so much from his I never really wanted to get into sales and say, oh, I don't know how to talk to people and sell them something, but it's not really about selling them something. It's about getting to know the person and what their needs are and what kind of business they're in. And then it's really fun to figure out, what it is that they need. And Jim really showed me how to do that because he always just became, had great relationships with his clients. And it's because he could tell them what they needed. And he was right. He wasn't pushing something on them. He was truly telling them what they needed. So I really learned from Jim a lot as far as listening to the customer and understanding what their needs and wants are and really coming up with a solution for them because it wasn't really
how about as a husband? What do you love about him?
No, what I love about him is prep me with this question. No, you know what? We just work really well together, and he's what you see is what you get. I mean, at times he may seem really hard about something. He might be, he might get upset with me about something during the day about something, business wise or something I didn't do or, should have done. But it is all, it's just teaching me something, he's really the pussycat. I'm really the hard one.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
But anyways, we just, we bounce things off of one another, and he's just easy, it's just easy because
Jim is a lot of fun. Jim is a lot of fun, right? He's a definite entertainer. There's the karaoke, both of you with your karaoke.
We both have
very, very big deal.
Exactly. It is a very big deal.
Karaoke is a big deal because we do a great Sonny and Cher because
we do.
Sonny still manages to sing better than I do.
Oh my God.
And she sings better than Cher.
When my kids were like 3 and 5 and I hear them singing "I Got You, Babe," I'm like, all right, Jim, this has got to stop. Like, this isn't normal. No. Just, we've had a great life so far together. We've experienced great things, ups and downs. Owning a business or owning anything, I mean, you're always reinventing yourself. I mean, you've never got it figured out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You got to be in tune to everything all the time, your marriage, your place of work, everything, your kids,
and keeping those kind of foundational things in check, right? You, a couple of years, has it been 2 years now, Linda, that you invited your elderly dad into your home with you?
The Charles and Charles Science is living with me right now. Us. And see, there you go. Like my husband, he was like, that's fine. Your father can come live with us. And, again, it's another path of, just trying to figure things out. And it just works, and he's doing okay. I know he, a lot of times I'll show him, like I showed him the video of Charles Science with me in it, and he was, he got a big smile on his face. He loved that, I mean, I remember years ago, we asked me if he wanted to come into the shop and do some, we were doing some project, a hand lettering. I said, would you want to? No. Which I was actually surprised. I think he was just tired, that like he was kind of done.
He gets to go. There's a big support system in place for you as well, but you are running point on the majority of this, on top of running the company and making sure that your kids are, okay at their respective colleges, et cetera. You're juggling a lot. But what's been one of the real joys of having your dad? I mean, we can all imagine the challenges, right? The physical challenges, the scheduling challenges, the care, et cetera. But what's it taught you about yourself, Linda, I guess, in having your dad back home with you?
Well, I think what's taught me is like, I hate when people say they don't have time to do something, because I honestly,
she doesn't like that.
I honestly, like, I always say, if you want to do something, then you just got to get up an hour earlier to get it done. And maybe I'm a little cray, but like my hours in the day are all accounted for. I know where I have to be, what I got to do, but you know what I mean? So, I want everything to be perfect all the time, which I know isn't the reality of real life, but I try to do it as much as I can to please everybody. I'm a pleaser. You know what I mean? But I mean, honestly, like I love my dad being here, because when he was down south and he didn't see my kids that often, right? Because he's down south. And now, even though he's here and he's not 100% well, at least my kids can hear his stories, right? And my kids can embrace him being here and seeing him as often as, they do. So I think that's
Kathy says, shoot, I got on a call and I missed Linda praising Jim. In the chat.
Well, we can end it on a high note with Jim again if she'd like.
And by the way, someone says those signs are awesome. So they were loving the stuff at the nursing home, etc.
Well, I want to talk about Linda's father for a second, because Linda has said to me repeatedly, I know it's an awful lot to ask to have him here, and when we want to travel.
Because you took an office, like you took your front home office, right, and converted it to his living space. Your office, Jim.
Converted to his living and sleeping space. But but she repeatedly said to me, "I know it's not fair to you." And I said, "Linda, it's not about being fair. It's life. If your father wasn't here, he wouldn't be with us anymore. He needed to be someplace he could be taken care of, and he wasn't able to get the care where he was." And it's just the process of aging, and it is what it is. And I wouldn't change that. You can't do that.
And it's been wonderful too with Nina and Aiden. I mean, to have their grandfather around like that, right?
And also, we're hoping they learn from this and they take care of us.
Yes, there's a different ploy that she has. So.
It's a learning curve for everybody.
Well, but interestingly, and we don't ever really explore this notion all that much, I don't think. But, in many other cultures, families staying together
Oh, I
like
know.
that throughout their life it's a very communal scenario where they support one another. It takes a village kind of idea. And it's
Exactly.
really our culture uniquely that says, that does this separation. It says they need their lives and we need our lives, and it's separate and apart. So I see, I mean, I walk into your space and I see the care and attention and the love that you offer him day in and day out, the physical labor alone that goes along with that. So I praise you for that, because there may be people on this webinar that are going through it or have gone through it and can
Sure.
appreciate that.
Right.
It's not an easy thing, but it brings great joy
It
at the
does.
same
No, honestly,
at the
it really
same
does.
time.
It does. It's just like the rest of life. There's highs and lows with all of it.
It's
And that's just what it is. And you have a choice to make every day you get up. There's going to be a challenge you don't know exists.
yeah.
And
You come out stronger.
And sometimes that challenge is they're shutting your business down. Because
Yeah,
there's
talk about that, Jimmy, because
and
COVID hit and you guys were obliterated for a period of time. Like you were like, what are we doing? What are we
yeah,
going to do? Talk
We
about
came
that
to
Well,
pivot
work. We
time.
still came to work at
yeah.
8 o'clock every single morning and stayed until
Yeah.
5.
Well, there's two things that happened that I just kind of laid the law down with, and for that, when New York started shutting down, and New York was the first to shut down, and New York had some pretty unique problems in the beginning of this pandemic. And I got out of the shower, I came to work, and I said, Linda, we got to get our management team together, because I'm very, very concerned that if they shut down the ability of us to get our supplies, we're out of business. And this is again when they started to shut down, and we never inventoried anything. We didn't need to. We got deliveries 5 days a week. And I said, I really think we need to bring an inventory. And I laid out what I wanted to do. And Linda sat back in her chair and she said, that's an awful lot of money. And I said, I know. And my management team said the same thing. I said, the problem is if we can't get the stuff, we're done.
Which was that was a huge thing
And
that you did.
so
plus.
Linda said, all right, I approve it. And we ordered the stuff. The next day I came back in another meeting. We didn't order enough. And then the following week, everything got shut down and we had all this material
Yeah,
here.
we had a ton of material.
And it's really what got us through. And then what really got us through is things started to open back up. The sign industry was considered essential with a huge caveat. If we got caught doing work for non-essential businesses, we were fined $2,000 per occurrence. So we were down. Our revenue was down 90%.
90%?
90%.
It was everybody's. I know.
And
horrible
I
for
actually had somebody say to me that was a non-business owner, well, everybody should have 6 months of income, set aside for situations like this. And I didn't react very well to that. And I'll tell you why. Because we were shut down for really almost 9 months, I think, before we could even do anything. There isn't a playbook in the world. If the CEO of the bank came to the board of directors and said, I have a business plan that we're going to get shut down for 6 months and here's how we're going to survive, we would have fired him. Because it's not 6 months of income, it's 6 months of revenue we're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And to have Apple doesn't have 6 months of revenue laying around, 9 months of revenue to just pay everybody and continue on. And we were very, very fortunate that we had a good friend of mine down in Virginia said, hey, listen, there's these group of guys, they're involved in PPE, the surgical masks and things. And he said, maybe you can get involved with them. And so I gave them a call, and I'll tell you, we started selling masks and started importing stuff from overseas. Shipping shut down around the world. We started chartering 747 planes, and we had our biggest year in sales ever, but hardly made any money because you're making half a penny a mask. But that's what got us through and why we're still here.
Right.
And when people talk about reinventing, you could have curled up and said, I've lost everything I've worked my entire life for. Sorry about that. Worked my entire life for over something that I couldn't have foreseen or any control of. But the one thing that we've always known is every day when we get up, if we do well or we do bad, it's our fault.
Yeah.
It's our actions that do that. And there's things that get thrown your way, like when our son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes,
Yeah.
that you don't see coming. And boy, you have a choice to make. what am I gonna do?
Did that ever turn your life upside down for a time, huh?
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
It was a horrible moment, not in just our lives, but
Aiden
our
was 13, is that right?
Yeah.
When he
Yeah.
was diagnosed?
Yeah. I don't even want to go back and relive that, but I'm a firm believer that horrible things happen and we all learn. You just get stronger. I don't care what the situation is. You just get stronger. At the time, it doesn't feel like it, but you just do.
Well, and when you have those things, when you have health challenges, and I do want to talk a little bit about that because
Mhm.
you both have been through your more than fair share, and you're dealing with it now with your dad, and you dealt with it, Linda, with your mom.
Mhm.
And Jim, your parents, your mom,
Mhm.
you're dealing with that there. And it really, without that, you see very quickly how everything else really doesn't matter. Right?
No,
All the years of work, all the
Right.
college degrees, all of the great sales skills, all of the great CEO
yeah.
skills, all of that stuff is out the door, and it's an equal playing field for everybody. Except when you say, I'm not going to just acquiesce, I'm not going to succumb, I'm going to look at my resources, leverage my resources. I want to live well. I want to live well. And so, Jim, you made a huge leap in doing that and went outside the norm and went to the Cleveland Clinic
Yes.
for yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and what you learned about yourself and the two of you as a couple through that experience?
Yeah. Uh, I was born with a heart defect, and when I was 7 years old, I was one of the 5 kids they used to train the first pediatric heart surgeon team at Upstate Medical Center, Syracuse, New York. And had a very minor problem, but this was back in 1974, and half the people that had open heart passed away. Now, of course, at 7 years old, I didn't know that, and went through that and led a pretty normal life until my early 20s. They discovered my aorta, which is the main artery that comes off your heart, was enlarged. And things have been very stable for a very long time. Things were going well. We had just had our daughter was 2.5. We just had our son Aiden. He was 7 months old, and I went in for a minor procedure, developed appendicitis. They put me in congestive heart failure, undiagnosed, for 7 days, and it exacerbated the condition of my heart, which led me to having to have open heart surgery again, and made a decision to go to Cleveland Clinic to have that done. And I suggest anybody that has time, you need to go there. I've been around cardiac care my entire life. I'll be their biggest supporter. I had to have my aorta replaced, and more than that, I had the most technically difficult surgery done other than a full transplant. And I like to go big and win, but not in the health field.
Not in that. That's not an arena that you want to be known for going big.
And so in order to replace that aorta, we're 2 days before the surgery, we're sitting with the surgeon, and I'm there with Linda and my father and his wife at the time. And the surgeon told me that they wanted to do what's called a mid-arch repair. And there was a little problem, is that I had to be on bypass for 3 hours, and it's going to block the flow of blood to my brain. His exact words were, I'm sure you can imagine that's a problem. He said, but don't worry, we have a workaround for that. He said, we're going to put you on the bypass machine, cut the aorta lower. We're going to chill you down to 68 degrees Fahrenheit from the inside out. And then we're going to shut down your blood flow to every part of your body, including your brain. And I ultimately didn't have any blood flow to my brain for 18 minutes, but people say that explains a lot, but I was like that before anyway.
I was very concerned with that was going to do with our sales with it.
Yeah. And we've got to, both of us have a business to run and stuff. But the one thing that I learned from that is number one, is just before I went for the surgery, we got separated, and there was a delay, and I was by myself for 50 minutes. And what I had to have done was very serious and very rare. And very fortunate. I'm the 111th person in the world that they took my native aortic valve out of my heart and put it back in. And just right place, right time. But as I'm laying there waiting for the surgery, it was the most religious moment I've ever had in my life. And I'm not a very religious person, people that know me. I mean, I do believe in God, but I had a moment that I'm like, I need to have this done, because if I don't have this done, I'm going to die. Something's going to happen. I'm going to die. If things don't go well on the table and I don't make it, my wife can go home. She can lock the doors to the business. I say, I'm going to cry when I say this. She's going to be okay. And my kids will be. I've done my job.
And Linda, your vantage point. I mean,
Well, I want to talk about hers because
we make light of a picture
Yeah.
that you took with Jim and the two
Oh.
kids. I mean, we make light of it.
Well, I
Yeah.
think
Well,
But
I'm always like go go go. So I was just go go go. I think
Yeah.
I was blocking
you were
out.
in,
what if.
yes, you were in get it
I
done mode,
wasn't-
stay
I
focused.
wasn't in that mode of like what
Yeah.
if. I was like, okay, we got to hear this. And it wasn't until he was in intensive care that I started hyperventilating, and I was like, what the heck just happened to me? Because I didn't see it coming. You know, you always think you're strong, and all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere, and it was like, what the heck? And even the nurse, put your head between your legs.
Well,
And she was like, what the heck happened? I said, I have no idea, but it always stands out in my brain that like, you really don't know when you're at your peak of like too much, you know what I mean? And then
Yes.
something
yeah.
and then your body just shuts down for that quick few minutes. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, you kind of have to regroup, you know what I
Well-
mean? Because I did not see that coming. I'm like, I'm strong, and I know where that just happened. I didn't even see it
Yeah.
coming. I'm like, what
Well,
the heck?
From my vantage point, laying in that bed, because I was awake and very alert at that point. She came in to see me, and she just started talking very fast, telling me, "Oh, you got everything you wanted," and just on and on and on. And then the color just went away, and she went walking out of the room. And I sent the nurse after, and they got to her just before she passed out. And
It was bad.
stuff. And what it was that, people will say to you, well, from Linda's standpoint, it was like she realized, I'm okay. It's going to be okay.
Gonna be okay, right? There was like this
she could let go.
huge release.
Right. And when people come to me or Linda, and there's other things we've been through, but that are equally horrific, which is crazy. But people will come to us and it's like, geez, I was telling my story to somebody who's an extremely successful businessman. I mean, envious of his success. And he started crying. And I said, why are you crying? He goes, I don't think I could go through what you've gone through. And he goes, I don't know how you've done it. How have you done it? And I looked at him, I said, you can go through it too. I mean, but
you just do it, right?
You see,
It's
you have
one
no
way or
choice.
the
you have no choice, and you people do have a choice. You can look at social media today, and you can look at our social media and think how wonderful everything is, right? Because we never put up the missed flight and how angry you are. You have a glass of champagne sitting on the plane going to Hawaii, say how great it is, and everybody.
But meanwhile, people don't see what the heartache and headaches leading
right,
up
the
to
heartache that happened behind it, and anybody that says that you can't take on anything and get it done, I'm not going to sound cliche and say you can do anything you want, because that's not true. I'm never going to be able to dunk a basketball, no matter how hard I try, unless you lower that rim. But if I don't try, I never will. If I don't learn from mistakes, I never will get better. And just put yourself out there and just try. What you have the ability to do as an individual or with the right partner is just incredible. Don't let life
selling it short and not doing it because if you don't achieve something because you tried it and you just weren't good enough at it, or it wasn't for you, that's one thing. But to never have tried and not know,
right.
That's something altogether. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and I kind of want to bring this full circle to talking about living well today and what the horizon looks like for the two of you. And then I've got some fun, lighthearted, quick questions that we wrap each episode up with that are kind of a little bit of rapid fire for you each to show us some inside scoop with each of you. But what does the horizon look like for you when you look out at the next, say, 3-5 years? Aiden just started Villanova. Nina's going to be graduating soon. You all are empty nesters for the first time.
I know, it's crazy.
20 years.
It's
so
crazy.
talk a little bit about what life's going to be like now, you think?
Well, I mean, we have no plan on retiring anytime soon. I mean, we're just still going to just keep on growing this business. With Micron coming into, the Syracuse area, I mean, we're definitely excited about what it's going to be for our business.
And you've
And
already started doing work for them as well, right, Linda?
yeah,
Yes.
and even
Yeah.
our employees, what it's going to mean for them as we start to grow and get bigger, and the opportunities for them to grow with us. I mean, we're just very excited about, where we're at right now. It's funny because Aiden went off to college, and, he's never really lived away from home, but he goes off to Philly. And then like the week after he's there, he's just like, maybe I should have stayed home. Maybe I should just take over the business. Maybe, I said, no, you need to stay where you're at, and you need to learn everything you can learn there, and take down those four walls. I mean, you cannot stay within those four walls. You need to grow and learn, and move forward. And I think that's with everything in life, right? I mean, like Jim said earlier, I mean, you're so capable of doing anything, and, anything you want, so I'm very excited about Micron, and just think about all the possibilities with ceiling views, and, us getting into some of these, different hospitals, and doing what we love to do, and transforming things,
Making a difference.
just being creative, and doing something just a little different. I mean, we're in the kind of business where, everything is custom, right? So you're
So
not,
sky's the limit kind of thing in
it's
terms
not
of
like we're doing
what's
banners
possible.
every day, and it's a banner. I mean, we're really creating and reinventing ourselves, and figuring out, where else we can use our machinery to build different things and do neat things.
Yeah,
I mean, this
exciting
whole
things.
ceiling views, I mean, COVID obviously, kind of hit us hard with that, because you wouldn't have been able to get into hospitals to do ceiling murals and stuff like that. So I'm very excited about a lot of different things in our business, and all the machinery we have to just start creating some new and different things that people have never seen before.
And Jim, you talked about Aiden. We spoke about him recently, of how he was a little lost, when he gets to this. Villanova's a sizable school, and he got there. I mean, top of his class, incredibly bright kid, very grounded, very into fitness and fishing and the outdoors. Just a beautiful kid, right? Young man now,
Yeah.
but he gets to Villanova and he's like, oh, well, like
I don't
feels
think
this
this is
sense
right.
of loss, right? But
Yeah.
then Jim, you had a nice conversation that was kind of enlightening. You want to share that real quickly?
Yeah, well, he called me last week, and I need to give a little background to this, because one of the things that I've tried to teach my kids, and Linda, both had conversations about this, whatever you choose to do in life, whenever you choose that, if you're going to be a plumber, if you're going to be a landscaper, do it to the best of your ability. Be the best at it. Know what you're doing. If you're
Master
working
your craft.
master your craft. If you're working at a restaurant, master your craft, right? And I said, but life isn't just about how smart you are, and what you can do. In order to get ahead, you need the right contacts. You need to be able to network your way to things. And I think
in communication, yeah, that because they're so behind their phones and their computer screens, and then with COVID, everything
Right.
got so virtual, that ability to be able to break out and make a connection with someone and have a conversation with them.
Yeah. Thank you for that, because again, the network, and I've told them, and we both had them take speaking classes. I said, because the one thing with your age is nobody speaks anymore, but ultimately, business gets done with people that you know and that you like
and trust.
Yeah, absolutely, and trust, and you can do that. So I told him about networking. Another friend of mine that's a CEO of another company, and told Aiden about my conversation with him. It's like, my friend said to me, I never realized how important the network is. So Aiden called me last Thursday, I think it was, all excited. He says, Dad, and this was out of the blue, because this network conversation wasn't something sending him off to school. It was, on and off over the years. He said, Dad, he goes, you talk about network all the time. He said, I got to tell you, I'm so excited. He goes, I'm starting to meet some people. This one kid, Oscar, he took this class last year, and, and he's hooked me in with what the professor really teaches and what he tests on and things like that. And I said, okay, but don't focus on that. Make sure you do the. He goes, oh, Dad, I'm not stupid. I understand. I got to learn it all. I understand that. But it's just amazing as I'm starting to know people. There's resources out there that are available to me that I just didn't consider.
Well, they don't think about it.
And I watch people, even today when we try to help people, and there's resources at their fingertips that they just overlook or don't ask because they feel embarrassed. So I don't want to ask for help. I shouldn't have to ask for help. What I have found in my life, and tell me what you think, is that the times that I have asked people, and again, I'm like everybody else, I don't like to ask, but when I have asked, it's always humbling at how much people are really willing to help you.
No, it's true.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yes, I emphasize that with McKenna is that, it's a lot of times people don't get what they want because they just simply didn't ask. They didn't think to ask. And a lot of times it is really just about showing up, right? It's about showing up. It's about not predefining that I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough or no, they'll think I'm silly or I'll look foolish or whatever the case. So they don't shoot for the stars. They don't shoot for the stars. They count themselves out before they even get there. So we've got a couple of rapid fire questions here for you. All right. Are you ready? Okay. So and you can either both answer one or the other. It's fine, whatever you think. But okay. So what do you think the secret is to living well today?
What do I think the secret is? Just to find the balance between everything, to make everything work in your day. No, even if you just spent 10 minutes on something, all right, I'm going to spend 2 hours on this, but at least you touched base on something else. You didn't totally forget about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like just keep yourself faceted and address the different areas. Give energy and attention to the different areas of your life and not let them atrophy. Yeah.
Now he's going to come up with a better answer. No, we're going on another question. That was my
Okay.
Angela, what's next?
Next. Okay. Jimmy, what's your true north? Like, what are your guiding principles in life and business?
Okay, so life and business. Honestly, family and friends. And without that, you can't have any of the other stuff. It doesn't matter. We built this company together. I could have done it without her, or if I did it without her, she'd rather me be a very different place. It's empty. It's empty without that. So that's my true north. And we stay in touch with people over the years, and it matters. It truly matters. Yeah.
That's your true north. What your favorite word, Linda? Your favorite word?
Oh, geez, Angela, why didn't you prep me on it?
No, because that's the whole point. Give me a great word.
It's not really one word. Can it be more than one word?
Sure. Favorite phrase.
This too shall pass. I always say that's one of my things. This too shall pass, Well,
and that's another question that I have here. How do you cultivate resilience? And I did a video, actually. The word of the week this week is resilience. And I feel like cultivating resilience, if I think about resilience, I think of you too. And then we all go through it. And we all go through it to different degrees. But I think, Jimmy, you and I both came from came from poverty, came from very, very poor means. And, there's a courage and a resilience that has to be built up there. How do you, when you talk to your kids, because I think Linda, you and I have had these conversations about our kids and resilience, that it might be a little piece of something that's missing in their DNA. Talk about resilience, Jim, and the role that it's played in your life.
Yeah, I think this fits very well. We talked about a minute ago because, we say, show up, just try. And people will try once and never try again. The highest paid baseball players are wrong 7 out of 10 times. They get back up to that plate, they get up to bat again, and they're only right 30% of the time. And in life, if you're right 30% of the time, you're going to have it figured out. Yeah. You're going to have an amazing life. I've made more mistakes than most people. We've made more mistakes than most people. that most people have. I mean, but just don't make a mistake and forget about it.
Right.
Learn from it.
Yeah, most definitely.
When I face that pitcher and he strikes me out and I realize that he's getting me out, the third strike, he's always throwing a slider. Guess what? Next time I face that pitcher, I'm going to look at that third pitch a little differently.
Yeah, that's right.
Now he may still strike me out, but maybe I'm a little closer.
Maybe you're a little closer. If we were to ask all your friends, your kids, your family, Jim and Linda Hickey are fill in the blank, what would you want them to say? What would you hope they would say? They are.
I just think they realize that we really care. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I want to know your problems or somebody else's problem. You know what I mean? I'm always there to listen. And, you know, we both are very much like that, you know, very caring people. I mean,
How about
you know,
you, Jim?
well,
The Hickeys are, they are
I
what?
think they're just an incredible couple. You know, they're a dynamic couple. I mean, we built a business together. We built a family together, built an incredible family together. I mean, you know, I think when if you look at the friends that surround somebody, pick anybody like you, the friends that you have and the network that you have, that's a testament to who you are. I look around at what's around me, and that's how I know that I'm okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask the importance of who you surround yourself with, who you mastermind with, who you convene with. You know, there's an old saying, we are the sum of the people we spend the most time with,
so
because
true.
you're
We don't have a big family. I mean, you know, our friends are honestly our family.
extended
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extended family. We don't have a huge family, you know, aunts, uncles, cousins all over. We just don't, you know.
Well,
And
I want to
we've got
invite,
great people in our
I
lives.
want to invite people to read more about the Hickey story. They're at charlessigns.com. They also have a site that was launched during COVID because of all the safety shields and barrier shields, all the things that you guys created out of that, and signage and etc. That's called signsforourtimes.com. You can find them on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and it's Jim and Linda Hickey, Hickey, if you'd like to look them up. And please reach out to them on LinkedIn, etc. Linda, you're going through a woman business owned certification right now. I know it's like
I've
this
learned a
mountain,
lot.
but yeah.
A lot of
But you
paperwork,
got it, you're getting near
stuff.
you're
All
nearing
good.
the finish line, right? You're
Yep.
nearing the finish line.
Near the finish line. We should end 2023, hopefully, and everything will all pan out. We'll be all certified and ready to take on 24. So we're excited.
Any final words, Jim, that either of you really would like to share with me or those who are watching in terms of insights of living well today?
Just from my standpoint, we work really, really hard, but honestly, we play just as hard as we work. You know, the focus, you know, when we're with our friends, if it's as simple as just sitting there having a glass of wine watching the sunset, that's hard work, and it's important work, and it's very, very fulfilling.
And I want to thank you, Angela, because this is honestly, I think it's been very therapeutic to go. I mean, to start down here and then go. I mean, honestly, I think your show and everything we touched base on. I mean, it was very therapeutic. I feel all revived. And, woo! Start my
Well, good.
That's
The whole idea.
But
That's the whole idea. Well, thank you
thank
both
you.
so much from the bottom of my heart. I'll see you soon.
All
And
right.
and to everyone out there, this will be saved on angelamoonin.com, and it'll be on YouTube. I invite you to rewatch it or share it with friends. We thank you for seeing us, and we'll see you next week, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. God bless.
Thank
Bye
you
for now.
so
All the
much.
Thanks,
best.
Angie.
Bye.
Bye, buddy.
Bye-bye.